Charley Boorman is the kind of guy who has come to Earth to quench the thirst for life. He's a curious and capable adventurer who occasionally gets an attack of what he calls the collywobbles, or the butterflies, before he begins one of his tours to Africa, Australia, Japan, or Timbuktu. Currently, he is exploring the extreme frontiers of Canada. It is my pleasure to welcome Charley Boorman to Studio 4 to tell us more.
I like the collywobbles, yeah. I forgot I said that. It's a bit like saying whoopsie-daisy, isn't it?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, whoopsie-daisy, I have the collywobbles, and I thought, do you have a temperature when you have the collywobbles?
I'm terrified, is basically what I'm trying to say. My father always calls it, well, I won't talk about that on TV.
Really?
Yeah.
We can't say the
word?
word?
I suddenly realized I won't say that word.
Okay, so we'll go back there. But your father, rather famous father, John Boorman, did the movie Deliverance, and you were in it?
I was in it, but I wasn't the guy playing the banjo, just so that you know. It was kind of funny. My father has done lots of different movies, Excalibur, Hope and Glory, Forest, all sorts of stuff. And as children, we always travelled around the world with him. And because he had lots of children, he just chucked us into his movies when it was needed. And so my father said to, look, Charlie, he said, if you sit on this sofa with that bloke, I'll give you a tricycle. And it sounded all a bit dodgy, but it turned out to be John Voight, and so I sat on this sofa, and I remember the sort of camera was there where that camera is, and I just focused in on this little red tricycle, and all I could think about was I just want to ride the tricycle. So I suppose Dad subconsciously kind of got me into motorbikes then.
Probably, but that was low pay.
Yeah, it was
a
low
tricycle
pay,
for a major movie. I don't know about that. Obviously, you weren't in the union.
Well, Dad was my agent, so he just did me over. You know, cheap labor.
But it could have jump-started your early love of motorbikes and Harley Davidsons, BMWs, what?
Yeah. Well, I think what Dad gave me was the sense of travel, of adventure, and all of Dad's movies were always in the South Pacific or South Carolina or Brazil or wherever it was, always tough movies. And that kind of, and I made a number of films with my father, along with other films, and that kind of gave me that sense for travel. And you know, part of the reason why my acting career failed so miserably was that I would choose films for their location. I'd be sitting on a plane, reading the script, going, "Oh my God, I've made a mistake here, but at least I'm going to Africa." You know?
Yes, or Kathmandu, or something like that.
Yeah.
But you admit you are a failed actor. Maybe not anymore. Maybe you've gotten better.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always loved acting, and I still love it. And I'm very proud of a film called Forest that I did, which was in Brazil, and it did very well in the 80s. And you know, there was a number of movies, and I do love it. But for me, when I met Ewan on
Ewan McGregor, you name dropper.
Yeah, and when I met him on a film set called The Serpent's Kiss, which again was a film that didn't even get to DVD, but you know, we had this common love of motorcycles, and I kind of, you know, like everything, you kind of stumble into things, and for Long Way Round, which is what I suppose I'm more known for. We kind of did this trip around the world together on motorcycles, and I kind of fell into that. So you kind of fall into things, and sometimes if you're old enough, you can realize it, and you try to run with it.
Well, it's kismet, and you know, many people would like to fall into something with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, well, you know, I used to share a tent with him, but I can't talk about that.
No,
you know,
don't
what
do
happens
that.
in a tent stays in a tent.
I want to know
he
who
does
got
have a very nice lightsaber, though. So.
Who got the tent up first?
Well, we both shared a tent first, and then after a while we realized that you know, sharing a tent was not a good thing. So we had a divorce, and he kept the original tent, and I got a new one.
Well, always someone snores. You know how that is.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, even if you're next door in another tent, you know, there's not much between it, so you can still hear them. The funniest was when we did Long Way Down, and I remember we were camping in this place, and there were elephant trails and hippo trails everywhere. So we sort of put the tent in the place where there weren't any, because they like to walk the same paths. And I remember waking up, and I remember hearing this branch breaking, and this munching going. I could hear this branch being eaten. So I go, "Ewan, can you hear that?" And he goes, "Yes, it must be really close." And it was literally in between our tents. This huge elephant was just sitting there munching away, didn't care about us at all.
No,
you know.
Not at all.
I didn't sleep at all.
Better an elephant than a grizzly, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I'm sure you've had some near deaths along the way. I know you have.
A few, yeah.
But you went to Quaker school? That's how it all began? Were you the class clown, or what was the deal? Way back then.
I'm very heavily dyslexic, and so reading and writing is a big problem for me, and which is surprising because I'm sort of on my sixth book at the moment. But as a dyslexic, you find ways of getting people to help you to do the things you want, faking it, and so I faked it a lot in school, and but no, Craig School was lovely. It was a place called Sipford School in Banbury, in Oxfordshire, and they helped me tremendously to give me the tools that I needed to get on with life as a dyslexic, because it's one of those sort of hidden disabilities that people find very difficult to understand. And if you're standing there and one kid's got a broken leg and says, sorry, I can't play games, you can see it. But if I'm standing there with no physical injuries and I say, look, I can't read, I don't know how to read, they just think that
it's more of a stigma.
Yeah, and if someone calls you thick enough, you start to believe
Thick's
them.
not good. Was it your father who suggested you act?
Yes.
To get away from the dyslexia, not get away from it, but to help you with it, to express yourself, to give you some confidence.
It was definitely. It was a way to express myself, and I felt great. And sort of since then, I've always sort of done something entertainment, and that's the way I can put myself across. So Dad's been a great help over the years.
When you prepare for a journey, going solo or with Ewan McGregor, where do you start? The map, the bike, the beer?
Yeah, well, the idea first.
The idea.
Because Russ Malkin and myself own the production company that make them. So
he's your director, your producer?
Yeah, producer, yeah, my co-producer. And when Ewan and I first came up with Long Way Round, we did that together and got them involved. And then since then, I've done the Dakar Rally and I've done this book, By Any Means, Right to the Edge, and I've done a couple of 3 or 4 shows since then.
Right.
And so I come up with the concept and we go look for the money, we speak to the TV stations and get it. So I'm involved in the whole process right from the beginning to the end, which is something I love doing. And
sure, but no cameo in Moulin Rouge for you, no cameo or anything like that.
But I did meet.
Did you try?
No, I can't sing. Ewan, I'll leave that up to Ewan. But I did meet. I've always been in love with Kylie Minogue, and I remember I met her. Ewan introduced me to her at the Moulin Rouge premiere in England, and she was talking to Nicole Kidman, and the two Australian exports, and so he came up and he introduced me to them, and he left.
Great.
And so they looked.
That's a male thing.
They watched him leave, and then they looked at me as if to say, "Well, who are you?" And this is, I swear to God, this is what I said. I went, and then walked off. That was it. I was so.
You know what you should have said
speechless.
afterwards? When it's all done.
Yeah.
And you think, I should have said, I held Angelina Jolie in my arms.
Actually, I'm going red just thinking about that. Just going. I mean, that's one opportunity to meet, Kylie Minogue, and I completely stuffed it.
But do you get starstruck? I mean, you grew up in showbiz. Well, you grew up in Ireland, and you traveled the world, and you've been around movie stars and moguls and Hollywood all your life. Yeah. So do you get starstruck? You did then.
I did then. No, of course you do. And there's huge people that you admire, and as you watch over the years, and I met Tarantino with Dad. We had dinner with him once, and I was really truly sort of speechless about him, and because he's one of these sort of great movie makers of the modern world, and yes, of course you do, but other the time when you're a kid you don't. You just we'd sit there in Ireland and there'd be a big table of people eating, and I'd just come in and I'd look down and there'd be all these sort of people there, and I'd just be thinking they're just taking my food. So that's as far as it got when I was a kid.
And what about the food on these trips? I know you do a lot of riding. You actually do the riding on the motorbikes. Like, you don't have crew that rides them from here to there.
No.
The two of you get on those bikes and you ride 4 months straight or 4 hours straight or what? No. How does it work?
Yeah,
on the road?
Well, Long Way Round, Long Way Down was they were both 4.5 month trips, and the first one went from London to New York through Kazakhstan and Mongolia, Siberia, Far East Russia, and stuff. And there is nothing. I mean, you guys talk about nothing here, and you have the frontiers, and which is something which is incredible to us. In Europe, we don't have those kind of frontiers. And when we did Extreme Frontiers Canada on this latest trip, we went from the east coast to the west, from the south to the north, and one of the things you realize is that you guys kind of live sort of near the bottom of the whole thing, and then you have this massive playground.
Yes,
above
we
you.
do.
And it's on the doorstep of everybody. And if you love the outdoors, then my God, this place is unbelievable.
Well, you
for
who
that.
loves the wilderness
Yeah.
would love it up in the Boreal Forest and
Yeah.
in the far north and the Yukon and all of that. I'm sure you'll go there one day.
Oh, well, we've just done the whole lot of it just now in the last 8 weeks. And we started off in St. John's and went rock climbing, 3,000 meter rock climbing with Barry Blanchard, this famous cliff, this famous mountaineer. And it was quite funny because we were just outside Calgary in this big mountain, and so we climbed to the top, and sheer cliff tops, and I'd never done anything like that before. And I was all fine, and we were petoning up and all this kind of stuff. And he's sort of talking away at the time. We get to near the summit. There's a picture of it just there.
There you
get to
are.
the summit. But all along that little thing, you had to go along this ravine, the top of the mountain with a 1,000-foot drop in either side to get to the top. Right?
Are you on
And so-
belay or on belay? Somebody's helping
yeah,
you.
you're on belay, but I did this whole mountain, climbed this amazing thing, got to the top, and then absolutely lost my whole will to live. And I got on all fours, and I was clinging to every rock to crawl
Great.
across this top.
How
And Barry,
attractive.
Barry was just standing there, walking along as if it was a pavement, holding this piece of rope as if I was some dog walking along.
Well,
and I
Charley,
was sweating away.
The
Anyway.
secret to that is you always have a good guide.
Yeah, of course.
You know, one of our prime ministers, now gone, Pierre Elliott Trudeau,
Yeah.
wanted to climb Mount Robson. He called a friend of mine, a guy named Willie Feaster, who was head of all avalanche in Canada. And he took Willie with him.
Uh-huh.
And very smart, because they
is.
helicoptered the prime minister in, right? So he's now on top of Mount Robson.
Yeah.
But Willie is there, just in case.
Yeah, no, it is, and we actually camped on the top of the mountain as well.
Did you?
And it was all beautiful. And then about 9 o'clock at night, this huge storm came in, and we spent the rest of the night, no one sleeping, with the tent completely flat against us because the wind was so
Great.
strong. And you're just sitting there, and just behind you is another couple of 1,000-foot drop, and the other side is a couple of 1,000-foot drop.
Where's
and
the
you're just-
cameraman?
Cameraman's just stuck
Is
by
that
my
Claudio
side.
or someone else?
No, it was another guy. It was a guy called Mungo, the cameraman, who came
Mungo?
with me. Yeah, Mungo. He's a lovely guy. he's a sweet man.
You'd
and then
have
of
to
course
have that
Russ
name.
Malkin, who's my
Yes.
business partner as well. He's along as well. So I drag them all and take them all through this terrible ordeals. Like bull riding. I was doing. There's the guy. There's the
Now,
boys.
are you much of a cowboy? Who are these guys?
Well, the guy on the left is Mungo, and then myself, and then Russ, and then Nat, another cameraman.
Okay, and these are not the bull riders. This is someplace near.
these are my crew.
The
but,
crew.
But I did do bull riding.
You did?
I did
Brahma? What?
In
Tell
Maple,
me about
Maple
this.
Creek, in this small
Are we in
rodeo
Alberta? Where are you?
in Alberta. And so I'm sitting there, and I go along to this thing, and there's all these guys, these cowboys and cowgirls, and they're doing this amazing stuff. And they said, Charlie, would you like to ride a bull? I said, yeah, okay, I'll ride a bull, but not a big one. So they present me with this calf. Right?
No.
I swear to God, it was this small thing. And I'm, at this stage, I'm thinking, oh my God, I've never done this before. So they strapped me in, and my legs were almost touching the ground anyway. But I'm still terrified. And the gate opens, and I go out, and I think this thing is bucking and going on. And I go halfway across and then just fall off and hit the ground, face dirt, and all that kind of stuff. So I go back, and I look back, and my cameraman is on the floor laughing, right? And I say, why are you laughing? Anyway, he comes back, and he replays it. And basically, the gate has opened up, and this little thing just trotted out. Didn't buck, didn't do anything, and it just trotted out, and about halfway across the I just slid off.
You just fell off just
and
in
in
case.
my mind, I thought I was doing this.
You're on
doing
a
this whole
major
kind of
Brahma
thing.
bull, it sounds to me like. I'm not
But
sure.
it was very embarrassing.
You know, when you're little and you grow up in rodeos and you
Yeah.
live in the West, you start out mutton busting. So
Yeah.
that's on a little sheep.
Yeah, I mean,
know.
well, this is what it kind of.
And now
was
they
like.
wear helmets.
It was slightly embarrassing, and I thought, it was
Well, I
fun.
know you've pushed a few cattle and
Yeah.
done things like that. So when we come back, we'll talk more about you in Canada, because it will be a book.
Yeah.
2012,
Yes, it will. Yeah.
a movie.
Yeah. It's a 5 1-hour
DVD?
TV show.
Great. Charley Boorman, our guest, he's an adventurer. His wife is a patient woman. We'll come back.